Politics in India has always been a reflection of the emotions, aspirations, and struggles of its people. It's like a mirror that not only shows where we stand today, but also gives a glimpse of where we are heading. And today, as we talk about the paradigm shift in Indian politics, we are not just speaking of change, we are speaking of a revolution in thought, a revolution in leadership, and a revolution in priority. The Congress Party's journey is deeply intertwined with the story of modern India. From the vision of Jawaharlal Nehru, who laid the foundation of a democratic, secular, and industrial India, to the efforts of Rahul Gandhi, who continues from that legacy to champion the cause of a progressive and inclusive nation. This party has shaped the country in significant ways. Nehru's leadership after independence, it set India on a path of self-reliance. Institutions like IITs, AIIMS, and ISRO were born, and the focus on industrialization, dams, and scientific temper, they provided the backbone for India's growth. His dream of a democratic India gave every citizen a voice in shaping the nation. Indira Gandhi, often called as the Iron Lady, because she made bold decisions from nationalizing banks to leading the Green Revolution that made India self-sufficient in food production. Her courage during the Bangladesh Liberation War of 1971, it earned global respect for India. Rajiv Gandhi brought the computer revolution to India, sowing the seeds for today's digital economy. His focus on modernizing telecommunications and empowering the youth, it showed his forward-thinking approach. Then came P.V. Narasimha Rao. He took charge during one of India's most challenging economic crises. Narasimha Rao, with the brilliance of Dr. Manmohan Singh as his finance minister, he introduced economic reforms that liberalized India's economy, opened it to global markets, and dismantled the licensed one. His policies catalyzed India's transformation into one of the fastest growing economies. Beyond economics, P.V. Narasimha Rao's contribution to foreign policy, education, infrastructure development have left an indelible mark. Under the UPA government, led by Dr. Manmohan Singh as PM, the Congress Party oversaw significant reforms like the Right to Education Act and economic liberalization that opened India's to global markets, creating millions of jobs and opportunity. Today, Rahul Gandhi carries this legacy forward. His Bharat Jodo Yatra is a call for unity and compassion, addressing critical issues like inequality, unemployment, and communal harmony. Rahul's message resonates with the need to rebuild trust in Indian society. The Congress Party's contributions are a testament to its commitment to building a strong, united, and progressive India. As we reflect on its legacy, we are reminded that true leadership is about serving people, fostering growth, and keeping hope alive for a brighter future. In spite of all the achievements made by Congress Party, it was alleged that Indian politics was dominated by dynasty. Power was inherited rather than earned. For decades, politics seemed like a monopoly, accessible only to a few families in India. But then came a shift, a wave of people who believed that governance was not about the lineage, but about leadership. Leaders like Narendra Modi, who rose from being a tea seller, broke the stereotype that only elites could govern. His journey proved that Indian politics was ready for a paradigm shift from privilege to merit. While Congress and BJP have dominated much of the political scene, several non-Congress, non-BJP prime ministers have made remarkable contributions to India's growth, resilience, and global standing. Their leadership proves that nation building is not confined to one ideology, but is driven by the collective spirit to serve the people. Morarji Desai was the first non-Congress Prime Minister. He emphasized transparency, discipline and financial prudence. His government strengthened India's democratic framework by introducing measures against corruption and promoting simplicity in governance. Charan Singh, he is known as the champion of farmers. He highlighted the plight of rural India. His policies reflected his deep understanding of the agricultural economy and the need to uplift the farming community, ensuring their voices were heard at the highest level. VP Singh, another leader who stood for social justice, implemented the Mandal Commission recommendations, ushering in significant affirmative action for backward classes. Though controversial, this move was a milestone in India's journey toward inclusivity and equality. H.D. Devegowda, often referred to as the farmer's prime minister, he worked quietly and effectively to address rural development and agricultural issues. Despite being in office for a short period, his humility and focus on grassroots problems earned him respect across party lines. I.K. Gujral, a statesman and visionary, prioritized foreign policy with his famous Gujral doctrine, which aimed to build strong relations with neighboring countries through trust and mutual respect. His emphasis on peaceful coexistence and diplomacy made India respect-wise on the global stage. This shift is not just about who rules, but how they rule. Think of Jan Dhan Yojana that aimed to bring financial inclusion to millions. Earlier, schemes like these often didn't reach the common man. But with technology as a partner, politics in India shifted from mere promises to practical solutions. People began demanding accountability. They began to see governance not as a favor from leaders, but as their right. Another major shift is in the youth participation in politics. India has the largest youth population in the world, and this generation is no longer content to sit on the sidelines. Platforms like social media have become powerful tools for political discourse. Youth are no longer just voters, they are influenced, they are activists, and they are even the candidates. Leaders like Arvind Kejriwal, who left a secure career to fight corruption, he shows that passion for justice can transform the system. Chandrasekhar Azad Ravan, with his fearless advocacy for Dalit rights, he reminds us that courage can break barriers. Figures like Jignesh Mevani and Kanaya Kumar, they demonstrate how grassroots activism can pave the way to political prominence. They inspire us. They inspire us to see leadership not as inherited position, but as a responsibility earned through service. These young leaders, without political backgrounds, they teach us that India's democracy thrives when ordinary citizens rise to lead. They prove that real power comes not from where you start, but from the strength of your vision and commitment. If they can make a difference, so can you. It begins with believing in yourself and standing up for what is right. This brings us to another crucial change: identity politics. It is transforming into issue-based politics. For decades, caste, religion, and the regional identities, they were the focal points of Indian election. But today, people are asking deeper questions. What about jobs? What about education? What about the environment? The 2019 and 2024 elections saw significant debates on national security and economic reforms. These shifts indicate that Indian voters are becoming smarter and more swayed. And let's not forget the role of women in politics. Leaders like Mamata Banerjee, Sonia Gandhi, Mayawati, and now emerging young voices like Mahua Maitra, They are examples of how women are shaping Indian politics. The recent Women's Reservation Bill aimed at increasing female representation in legislature is another step towards balancing power. Now, every shift comes with its challenges. The rise of populism over policy-driven politics is one such challenge. Politicians often focus on short-term benefits to win votes, ignoring long-term solutions. For instance, distributing freebies might bring instant popularity. But what about building sustainable system for education, healthcare and employment? Even here, the paradigm is shifting. People are questioning these practices and the demand for transparency is growing louder. Let me give you a simple analogy. Think of Indian politics as a river. For years, it flowed in the same direction, guided by the same rocks and obstacles. But over time, new currents have emerged. These currents represent change. People questioning old norms, demanding fairness and pushing for equality. The river is not the same anymore. It's unpredictable, it's dynamic, it's powerful. The biggest lesson we can learn from this shift is that change is possible. If people like you and me, the common citizens of the country, continue to demand accountability, continue to vote wisely, and continue to participate in the process, Indian politics will only become stronger. Gandhi once said, be the change you wish to see in the world. Today, that change is evident in the way politics is transforming from a system of rulers to a system of servants, from power for a few to empowerment for all. So, as we stand at this crossroads, let us remember every voice matters, every vote counts, and every small action contributes to this paradigm shift. Indian politics is no longer about who you are, it's about what you stand for. And that, my friends, that is the change we all needed to see. Politics is a fascinating arena. In politics, the tides of change can sweep across nations and leaders rise or fall based on their ability to navigate these waters. Think back to the days of the Indian National Congress, once the towering giant of Indian politics. It saw massive successes, but as the years went by, the party faced setbacks, losing ground to rising regional parties and growing BJP. The erosion of support was starkly evident after the 2024 general elections when Narendra Modi's waves swept to the country, reducing Congress to its lowest. The rise of right-wing populism, whether through Donald Trump in the US, the Brexit campaign in the UK, or the Alternative for Germany party in the Europe, right-wing finds resonance in the Indian context. Modi's ascent mirrored this global phenomena. A leader who positioned himself as an outsider to the dynastic politics of Congress, promising to clean the system, uphold cultural pride, and prioritize development. His campaigns touched a chord much like populist leaders elsewhere, riding on the frustration of the common people with the existing order. But India, with its diverse electorate, doesn't follow a linear political trajectory. While the BJP consolidated its position, regional parties gained significant ground in states. Leaders like Mamata Banerjee, Nitish Kumar, Y.S. Jagan, Chandrababu and KCR, they crafted their own narratives, challenging the national party. It's like to what we have seen in European countries where traditional establishment parties lose their dominance to smaller, more focused groups with distinct regional or ideological appeal. We must also acknowledge the emergence of new political players and ideologies, such as the Aam Aadmi Party, AAP, disrupted traditional equations in states like Delhi and Punjab. Their focus on governance, their focus on transparency, their focus on citizen-centric policies, it was a fresh approach in a system largely dominated by caste and identity politics. With every political shift comes the danger of extremism and polarization. Just as Germany grapples with the fear of a return to divisive ideologies, India faces challenges of communal and caste-based divides deepening during electoral battle. Whether it's hate speeches or the misuse of historical narratives, these issues remind us of the importance of vigilance in safeguarding democratic values. But let me offer you some hope. Change is the essence of democracy. Leaders like Indira Gandhi, who once faced a massive electoral defeat post-emergency, she came back stronger. Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra is an attempt to reclaim lost ground. And even Modi, while riding high on his popularity and publicity, many a time he faces the constant challenges of delivering on his promises to maintain trust as he failed at providing jobs and infrastructure. Politics is not just about who wins or loses elections, it's about the aspirations. It's about the aspirations and frustrations of the people. Leaders may come and leaders may go, but it is the system, the constitution, the institutions and the vigilant citizenry that ensures the survival of democracy. If history has taught us anything, it is this: no political force, however they are powerful, no political force can take the people for granted. As citizens, we must question our leaders, demand accountability and engage in informed debate. Politics is not a spectator sport. It's our collective responsibility. And in this dynamic world, let's strive for a politics that unites rather than divides. A politics that empowers rather than exploits. With the Indian Constitution, led by the brilliance of Baba Saheb Ambedkar, the foundation was laid for a united, secular and democratic India, a miracle given the diversity and complexity of the nation. Nehru spoke of the tryst with destiny, Shastri inspired with Jai Jawan Jai Kisan, and Indira Gandhi navigated her share of highs and lows, becoming both a symbol of resilience and a cautionary tale of overreach during the emergency. The nation grew, stumbled and rose again, much like the tide of a rousing movie climax. But paused forward to the present, and the narrative feels more turbulent than ever. From debates on secularism and the growing polarization of society to the rise of regional leaders like Mamata Banerjee, KCR, Arvind Kejriwal, Y.S. Jagan, Chandrababu, they are challenging national powerhouses like BJP and Congress. The Indian political stage is anything but that. Narendra Modi, with his charisma and bold reforms like GST and Swachh Bharat, he brought a new flavor to Indian politics. His ideas resonated deeply with the youth and middle class. Yes, he faces his share of criticism over continuous policies and challenges like unemployment and farmer unrest. As we look at these shifting dynamics, it's worth asking what happened to the dream of 1947. Why does the promises of unity and progress sometimes feel like it's fraying at the edges? Perhaps it's because, as in any long-running drama, complacency sits in. The euphoria the euphoria of freedom gave way to the harsh realities of governance. Economic inequality, corruption, and caste-based discrimination, they began to chip away at the foundation of our democracy. And when people feel unheard of, or when people feel unheard, or when people feel neglected, they start seeking alternatives, sometimes extreme alternatives. This is where the Indian voter becomes the real star of the show. Our democracy, despite its imperfections, it has survived and thrived because of the people. Think of the 1977 elections, when the people unseated Indira Gandhi after the emergency, or the wave of support that brought Modi to power in 2014. The voter is the hero. The voter holds the script, deciding who gets a role and who exits stage left. But politics is not just what happens in Delhi. It is in our tea shop debate, WhatsApp forwards, and most importantly, it is in our choices as a citizen. Do we choose leaders who divide us, or do we choose leaders who unite us? Do we demand accountability, or do we let apathy take over? As Indians, we must remember that while we are diverse in language, religion, and culture, we are united by a shared destiny. So let's embrace the chaos of Indian politics with curiosity and hope. Let's challenge the status quo. Let's challenge the status quo, question our leaders, and engage in the messy but magical process of democracy. Because politics is not about perfection, it is about progress. And if there is one thing Indians are good at, it's finding hope, humor, and humanity even in the most dramatic of situations. It is a tale of global shift. It is not just the tale of India, it is a tale of global shifts and ripples they create in our Indian reality. Until 1989, the world was like a chessboard with two dominant bipolar players. One is the United States and the second one is the Soviet Union. When the Berlin Wall crumbled, the Soviet Union dissolved and the Cold War ended. The world changed. We moved into unipolar era where the United States emerged as the dominant power. The collapse of the Soviet Union also marked the end of a credible alternative to capitalism, ushering in what economics called neoliberalism. Globally, this meant deregulation, privatization, and push for free trade. In India, this era began with the economic liberalization of 1991, led by then Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao and Finance Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. This liberalization was a turning point for India. It opened doors for global investments, rapid economic growth, and an emerging middle class. But like every coin, it had two sides. While metros flourished with glitzy malls and booming startups, villages remained stuck in poverty. Farmers struggled with debts, and economic inequality deepened. Globalization came with its baggage, restoration of culture, loss of indigenous industries, and environmental challenges. The Washington Consensus, a model exported to developing nations, it demanded economic reforms that sometimes hurt more than they help. For example, structural adjustment policy. Structural adjustment policies from the IMF often required cuts to social spending, affecting health, affecting education, and affecting rural development. These are the areas that India desperately needed to strengthen as the unipolar world persisted challenges to its dominance began to emerge. China's rise as an economic superpower, Russia's resurgence as a geopolitical player, and India's strategic assertiveness on the global stage, it showed that the dream of a single global order was fading. At home, Indian politics became a microcosm of these global trends. Leaders like Manmohan Singh and Narendra Modi, they navigated this new reality, balancing economic aspirations with social challenges. But domestically, India grappled with its own challenges. Economic reforms fueled growth but failed to address deep-seated inequality. The financial crisis of 2008 and COVID-19 pandemic, they exposed the fragility of the global economy. This growing economic insecurity birthed discontent worldwide. And India wasn't immune. Rural distress, unemployment, and farmer suicides, they became stark reminders of the gaps in our food. But here is the thing about India. We are resilient. Whether it was overcoming colonial exploitation, partition, economic shocks, COVID crisis, GST, or currently trending religious politics, we have always found a way forward. As we step into an uncertain future, our politics and policies must address the needs of all Indians, not just a privileged group. The challenges are immense: climate change, unemployment, regional disparities, but so is our potential. As the world's largest democracy, with a young population and a history of pluralism, India can be the model the world looks for answer. The time has come to move beyond borrowed models and find our solutions rooted in Indian values: inclusive growth, respect for nature, and the belief that every citizen matters. If we embrace these principles, India won't just survive this stormy era, it will thrive and lead. Let us engage with politics and economics not as a spectator but as participant. Let us demand accountability, innovation, and compassion from our leaders. Let us rewrite the script of the global and the national order with our voices, choices, and action. Because history is not just something we read about, it is something we create together. As we reflect on the paradigm shift in Indian politics, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the heart of democracy beats strongest when power belongs to the people. This transformation, driven by changing values, rising voices from marginalized communities, and informed citizenry, signals the dawn of a new era. It is a reminder. It is a reminder that no leader or party is permanent. What lost are the values of justice, equality, and progress. This paradigm shift challenges each of us to be more than passive observers. It invites us to participate, to question, and to demand accountability. Indian politics is no longer a distant spectacle. It is our collective story, one that we have the power to write. The choices we make today, the leaders we support, and the causes we champion will define our tomorrow. Let this change inspire us to believe in the power of the individual, the strength of unity, and the resilience of democracy. Together we can ensure that this new paradigm leads to an India that truly embodies the dreams and aspirations of its people.